Sup, you chuckle fucks? It's your boy Dark Raku here with the What If Issei was a robotic engineer, part 2. Now, before I continue on with this what if, I should mention one thing about this what if. Um, what was that one thing? Fuck, I forgot it. But not the point. So, I did do it mostly it would have been 11 hours right now, but mostly, I did it mostly yesterday at like 2, and basically I was tired as fucking waking up in the morning, and I just fell back asleep when I got home and other shit. So, yeah. Also, I was getting called multiple times by someone, but I just didn't answer them. I didn't care too much at all. But not the point. Of course, yeah, that's not the point here. There, I also had to wash stuff and do other things. But yeah, I just couldn't had time to record or do anything. But yeah, so I'm gonna record right now. I'm gonna try to upload this what if, and yeah. Now, before I go on with this what if, it seems that a lot of you people actually like it because this already has 234 views in 11 hours, and it has like 15 likes and 2 comments that they want part 2. So I'm here with part 2. I could have done a thumbnail, I just didn't want to. So mostly the whole time I was just going around and blah blah blah. Not the point. So of course I really didn't have time to make a thumbnail. So that's not the point here or there. So I'm gonna just go on with this kind of like picture, and that's all. I mean, it makes sense because, well, Issei is literally similar to that of Tony Stark, but less nice, if you want to say it. But that's not the point. He's more of like always in his laboratory, but yeah. But that's not the point here, Tim. But we go into mostly a time skip after mostly the meeting of, well, mostly the red one, the white one battle. Well, it was mostly a one-sided battle between the white one actually winning. On the second round, he was getting wiped on the floor by a fucking giant lizard that the red one created like a while ago. And the white one didn't stand one single bit of chance to fight against mostly MG, also known as Mecha Godzilla. But yeah, beating the shit out of, well, what's it called? Volley. Making sure Volley had no cocky attitude after that. He really realized that his partner, or not his partner, his rival is truly a true menace to society. Or not even a true menace to society, a literally menace to almost all supernatural when his fucking genius stats is mostly above everything. Literally, he was like pretty much a super genius at that point. When he created that giant machine robot, he was also in a giant robot suit, mostly the what's it called, Iron Buster, whatever the hell it's called, Hawk Buster. Mostly what's it called? Wally couldn't remember because he was getting his fucking face smashed in by a freaking multiple punches, hydraulic punch, pressure, whatever the hell it was. He doesn't know any of these words, so of course he's just wondering. But yeah, of course, Volley, we go into Volley, POV. Volley is right now in the hospital of the Goguryeo. You see here, he is right now having multiple tubes right now shoved around his body because it's literally pumping either blood, oxygen, or feeding him. Because he has so many holes in his body, he looks like a slice of fucking Swiss cheese. Because how many fucking bullets are in his body? Now those bullets had to be taken out of his body slowly, literally by surgery or by magic. They could have done magic for like the upper kind of like surface bullets that were in his like skin. But when it had to go deeper, they needed to mostly try to do surgery on him. But yeah, it was a painful fucking process. But yeah, Volley managed to, well, find out one thing. He is never fighting the red one. He does not care about the whole rival of the white versus red because he is not fighting the red one when he literally has that giant thing behind him. He doesn't even, this is where Volley actually has something fearing for his life because he fears that mostly if Issei finds out that he can boost and transfer basically the boost's powers into that fucking giant Mechagodzilla, whatever the hell it was, to kick his ass, he would already been dead faster than he can blink. He was almost at the verge of death with that giant thing, and literally Issei just playing with him at that point. Mostly Issei just called him a test subject for mostly the battle between him and Mechagodzilla. But yeah, this is where, well, Volley just realized he's not fighting him ever again. And even Alvin is agreeing with mostly Volley not to fight Issei, when Issei literally has that giant thing behind him. This is where, well, mostly that was the thing. But of course, then there's the others. Biku was also pretty much really hurt because machine guns just shot into his body. Mostly not machine guns, mostly bullets shot into his body. Right now, Arthur and what's it called, LaFay were fine. They were the only people that were fine because Kuroka got hit by an explosion before attacking, or trying to attack Issei. But of course, this is where, well, it was an explosion in the back, and of course, she had a very burn mark in the back, like an explosion mark. But yeah, this is where, well, mostly those three were basically traumatized of just one human. Yes, they're considering Issei to just be a human now because Issei literally ripped out the palm pieces from his stomach, and he didn't even seem to care. There's also, they found out one thing about the evil pieces. There's these little machines that seems to be kind of like destroying the demonic energy, but also like repairing flesh that was supposedly on the pieces. But this is where, well, they were confused. And what was it until mostly Ajuka found out what it was, and it was literally nanomites. This is where he explains what nanomites are. Nanomites are machinery, like tiny machines that repairs human flesh and other things. Like, you can repair anything. He never expected this human, specifically the 8 palm piece Issei Hiro, to be one of the smartest and most genius people that he has ever met. Well, has not met one entirely. He has met him once, but realized that he looked kind of dumb and always interested in Opie. But that could have been just a false illusion to actually trick everyone for him to get more information. This is where, well, Hajuka realized that Issei is literally the smartest and most dangerous person to the supernatural world when he can create these tiny nanomites, huge ass machines with a bunch of machine guns and rockets. And of course, it looks to be like an AI created for him. He can probably also create robots and robot armor, and this is where, well, mostly Ajuka is actually terrified of Issei. With his knowledge of mostly technology, it shows that he is very advanced with everything. So of course, Ajuka is terrified. But of course, he is not the only one terrified. When everyone saw how Issei left them, mostly, I mean like literally all 3 factions, being the angels, the fallen, and even the devils, they all realized that Issei left them and never said that he was going to be a part of an alliance. With those 8 palm pieces, it was the only thing connecting him to the devil society. But he's no longer a devil because he just threw out his 8 palm pieces, and the nanomites managed to actually destroy the demonic energy. Mostly Ajuka found that out when he was actually seeing that it was actually destroying the mostly 8 evil pieces. Slowly but surely, but this is where, well, the nanomites just disappear after a while. They're like dysfunction and just mostly exploded and then destroy a bit of mostly the evil pieces, but not much. But of course, Ajuka realized that mostly Issei's demonic energy might be already gone, thanks to the nanomachines. This is where, oh, if that's the thing, then Issei's not a part of the devil race at all. He's not half human. Or not half human, half devil. He's literally full human. Probably full human. Probably human and machine. This is what, well, we'll see. Probably that's the thing. He doesn't understand much about Issei's abilities or power, and how smart he is, and how much gears and other things he has. But this is where, well, mostly everyone's terrified of him. Because if he wants to, he can probably go into the underworld if he finds a way to, and literally summon that giant robot into the underworld and just launch a full-on assault attack to destroy the underworld, which he will probably take out like a good chunk of the whole underworld, like probably half of the underworld. Literally, dead bodies be everywhere. Issei way out of care in the world, having a vicious grin, but yeah. This is where, well, mostly all supernatural is terrifying. Mostly the devil's angels, the fallen angels. Mostly Michael, Azo, and even what's it called, Sir Destiny, even Seraphor are just shivering because they saw how big that machinery thing is. How like the bullet speed was so fast they can barely react. The rockets were also terrifying. Mostly the robot itself could actually seem to be sending a laser, or not laser, uses an EMP to knock out all magic around him, making him one of the most deadliest things in the whole world. This is where, well, mostly they were thank goodness that Issei didn't just kill the white one straight up. Instead, he just let the machine fly away while he fly away also, making everyone saddened. But then again, mostly Rias was depressed, but she couldn't really do anything. She realized one thing. Issei was never a part of their kind of friend group entirely, because mostly she realized one thing. Mostly when she was showing her old pie or trying to flirt with Issei, she found out one thing strange about him. He never did try to like touch her or any of that. She thought it was mostly because Issei is trying to be respectful and other things. Not the case. Issei didn't seem to be too interested in the female body, neither in the same gender. So he's not interested in mostly the same or even the opposite gender. He seemed to be uninterested in what mostly all the things. But yeah. But we go into mostly a time skip from mostly everyone, and we go into somewhere right now being underground. This is where, well, seems to be in an office. Right now, this is where lightning is crackling around. Lighting is also mostly spiking up. This is where, well, it's like someone's welding. And this is where, well, the person is right now grinning, saying, come on. Yes, this would be perfect. This would be really perfect. This is where most of the doors behind him literally open because, well, yeah, this is where some bright light actually flashes into this dark room, and this is where, well, the person said, ow, someone close the door already, bastard. This is where the lights in his room right now turn on. This is where, well, he screeches and this is where he says, light, my weakness. This is where, well, mostly someone scoffs and says, you know, you should actually, I don't know, clean up this room. You know how dirty this is? It was already clean when you left it, but now it's dirty when you came back. This where, well, someone's like, it seems to like flick their kind of finger, but this where instead of like hearing mostly metal into mostly flesh or like nail hitting into, what's it called? Yeah, and the sound, it sounds like metal hitting into metal. This where, well, mostly Issei, mostly the person is none other than Issei, but yeah. But this is where Issei is a little bit different. It's been actually over mostly 2 months, but yeah. This is where, well, he has longish brown hair. This is where, well, he has kind of his goldenish brown eyes, but this is where he has glasses on. Mostly glasses slash goggles, but not the point. There's almost the same thing, but not the point. This is where, well, he also kind of has, what's it called? Well, a white, well, it is kind of a white lab coat. This is where, well, which has a bunch of tools on it. This is where, well, he has a kind of black shirt with mostly white, or not white, mostly blue jeans, but not the point. This is where the blue jeans seem to be kind of ripped, but not the point. Mostly he also has black shoes, but this is where, well, he says, god damn it. You could have at least let me actually try to focus my eye into the light. Damn it. Why, V? Why did you do this to me? This is where, well, he calls out the person's name. The person is literally named V. This is where, well, when he managed to open his eye fully to try to actually see better into the light, this is where, well, instead of being focused in the dark most of the time, the person that he sees is, well, someone with kind of like silverish white hair. But of course, she's not actually human. She's actually a mostly a robot or drone in cases. This is where, well, her name is V, and this is where, well, she mostly has these like metal claws until they transform back into mostly these white kind of like hands, but they're still robotic. This is where, well, she kind of just says, you know, Aisama, you know, if you would have actually been normal, what would happen? This is where, well, instead of, I don't know, making this place dirty again. This is where, well, mostly right now, Issei is just saying, V, we already talked about this. Don't go in my room when I'm right now experimenting and creating stuff. And why do you ask me such stupid questions? If I was normal, yeah, if I was normal, I would have went to a normal school, a normal place, and normal stuff. But I'm not. I have no interest in going to a school that's boring as hell, and I will learn nothing from it. And I won't be able to create anything from it, because a bunch of students would be too rowdy and noisy, so no. This is where, well, we'll see if he scoffs says, fine, yes, I heard you. This is where, well, she does have a mouth that does move and does kind of like talk. She does have teeth similar to that of human, but not much. This is where, well, her eyes aren't normal because they're actually on a screen. Right now, mostly this is like a black screen that shows mostly kind of yellowish eyes, but yeah. So this is how V looks like. Mostly, my explaining kind of sucks, but yeah. She also does have a tail with mostly this kind of yellow liquid, but yeah. Mostly that's just to kill machinery pretty fast, but not the point. Basically, she's actually from a kind of show that I did watch a while ago, and it's mostly called Murder Jones. You can actually watch it on YouTube, and there's only like 6 episodes. One of them was kind of recently kind of uploaded as 6 part, but not the point. But yeah, this is where, well, mostly we go into back into mostly V just scoffing, saying, "Fine, yes, I heard you, Aisama. Yes, I heard you that you mostly don't want to do any of that and blah 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 blah. But I'm wondering, are you gonna put any more upgrades in my body?" This is where she said very seductive. What right now making Issei kind of look at her with just like a questionable look and saying, "Really? Are you are you trying to seduce me?" This is where, well, V says, "No. Why would I? Meh." This is where, well, she stuck out her tongue and just said, "Whatever, I'm going. I'm gonna go talk to Jay." This is where, well, mostly Issei says, yeah, whatever, do whatever. Right now, turn off the lights. No. This is where, well, she walks out by opening, well, the door kind of opens because it's like a shifting door, and this is where she walks through, and the door then closes. This is where, well, mostly Issei scoffs and says, "Oh, so many annoying. God, I should have, well, then again, I wasn't the one to create those robots. The drones. No. Yes, that's not what I went to create. No, but that was my grandmother's." This is where, well, he looked at a picture that mostly shows him, mostly a little Issei that still has mostly his longest brownish hair. But right now it's truly long, but not the point. It actually reaches down towards like medium, mostly middle back, but not the point. This is why, well, he also kind of, well, sees a we go back into the picture. It shows him being a little kid. Right now next to him is like, well, this like robot dinosaur that he managed to create. It's a small robot dinosaur, but this is where, well, it seems to be like the shape of Mechazilla, but of course a smaller version. And of course it seems to be moving in the picture, but it wasn't really moving because it's just a picture. But of course next one is a beautiful, well, not beautiful, mostly it's an old lady. Well, she seems to be not that old in the picture, but still she seems quite beautiful. But this is where, well, she had kind of like brownish hair, but had some highlights of some grayish on there. This is where, well, she had kind of darker brown eyes than most of Issei's. This is where, well, she kind of had wrinkles, but not much. This is where she had a kind of like wrench in one hand and a gun in the other hand. But this gun looks to be like some kind of laser gun rifle. It was kind of glowing green, but not the point. This is where, well, she also had like a different kind of like this, mostly like a stick, like a metal stick next to her one of her belt, but it was actually a lightsaber, which mostly Issei remembers because she was advanced and creating a lot of things. But this is where, well, she then kind of had that whole thing ranch and other things, but yeah, she was kind of smiling at mostly Issei in the picture and other things. This is where, oh, beside was it called mostly the old lady, it was mostly these other robots. So one of them were basically the size right now for Issei, because Issei is right now the height of like 5'8". One of the robots seems to be the height of being 5'8" right now of Issei's height, and that was none other than V. Well, mostly, yeah, mostly the robot named V, but it's actually a, what's it called, murder drone. That's what it's called. That's what the robot is supposedly called, a murder drone, or murder drones, but not the point. This is where, well, one of the robots that was called V, then another one appears that seems to be a little bit taller than what's it called. Well, V was actually named J. She had 2 ponytails, and of course, wait, not ponytails, 2 pigtails, and this one had similar, the same color of hair as V. But of course, she seemed to be mostly less kind of psychotic kind of grin up here on the camera, and more like a grumpy kind of look, an annoyed look. This is where, well, she seems to not be caring too much about the picture. But this is where, well, beside next to them were mostly another kind of robot. But this robot was basically kind of whitish, silverish hair. Of course, he seems to be a male, and of course, well, he seems to be having a goofy grin, and of course, right now, kind of patting Issei in the head. This is where, well, mostly Issei didn't like it too much, but he didn't really mind too much. This is where, well, the person had a kind of thumbs up in the picture, but yeah. Now, the one that had 2 pigtails was actually named Murder Drone J, and the other one that was next to Issei was Murder Drone N. But yeah, this is where, well, they're mostly from the same kind of series, but not the point. If you want to know how they look like, let me show you. This is how Murder Drone J kind of looks like, but yeah. Murder Drone N kind of looks like this, but yeah, much more happier and cheerful than the other 2, but yeah. But this is where, well, We go back into now the Issei kind of just looking at the picture and kind of just smiling. He misses kind of his grandmother, but yeah, his grandmother always wanted to create machinery much more bigger than anything, and right now wanted to show the whole world that she was actually a brilliant kind of like a robotic engineer. But she could never because she had, well, basically her own child, basically being Goro, which yes, Goro is, yeah, she basically had Goto and of course could never really show off her technology and other things, and realized not to do that too much, show it off, because she didn't want mostly the murder drones to actually be killing humans and then fighting in war and other stuff. So of course she never decided to do that. But of course after having Goto, she started trying to still build some robots and other things. And Issei one time kind of discovered these robots but thought it was really cool instead of being creeped out. So of course mostly Issei's grandmother, who is actually named, well, her name was Trish, and of course, well, Trish kind of smiled at the fact that Issei wanted to learn about mostly engineer and robots and other things. So of course, she decided to be so happy and actually teach him about it. This worked well. Mostly mostly Trish found out that Issei was basically a genius in creating robots and other things, machinery. This worked well. That was her name in the picture, and of course, she was smiling while kind of looking at the small kind of robot dinosaur that Issei created. Now the small robot dinosaur is actually next to the picture frame, and this is where it looks literally like a small version of Mechagodzilla. This is where, well, it was basically Issei's one of his favorite shows to actually watch back then. Mostly when it actually came on as a movie, Mechagodzilla versus Godzilla, and of course it was always interesting in seeing machinery stuff and other things. This is where, well, beside mostly the two kind of like mostly objects that I already mentioned, there was other objects that either had different kind of drawings of other things, like machinery drawings, detail enough to like show a kind of drawing that says, well, mostly machinery U, what stands for Ultron. This where, well, another one that was called S, Senios. This where, well, another one that was called T. This is where mostly the T stands for Terminators. This is where, well, there was other machinery stuff, and they were also just either called by a specific letter or just called by specific numbers. This is where, well, mostly one number was actually called 45.1, and it was basically just a machine of mostly creation of like, well, it was, well, well, it was a creation of a robot that didn't really work out, and that's why it had a 0.1, because it was basically the two first tries literally exploded. So of course he just gave up on that number. But yeah, but this where, well, he just kind of looks all around and kind of smiles. He actually made it to this kind of business of being a robotic engineer thanks to his grandmother, to actually show him, introduce him to the life of mostly being an engineer. He was happy to actually figure out about this stuff. This went well. He was glad that his grandmother was the one to actually teach him, and actually teach him a lot of things that were actually helpful to the world, instead of his father being the one to teach him, because his father was a complete idiot when it came to all this stuff. Literally, his grandmother tried to teach his father, and he was a complete dumbass for mostly all of the stuff. Which mostly Issei was very disappointed in his father for the fact that he was a dumbass in it. But he didn't really care about what his father does now or whatever. He just cared about the fact that, well, mostly he was now, well, old enough to do his own stuff. Mostly Issei was already old enough to do his own stuff. He luckily managed to convince, well, the Japanese government Japanese government to make him a program of mostly robotic engineers, and to make robots of either destruction, protection, or other stuff. So that's why he's actually working for the government. And the government knows about the supernatural. They're not stupid about it. But this is where, well, they're a little bit stupid, but not much. This is where, well, Issei kind of convinced the not world government, mostly Japanese government, about creating robots that will protect humanity from anything. This is where, well, the government was very suspicious towards a mostly 15-year-old. But yeah, yes, Issei was 15 years old when he actually talked to the world, well, not world government, not world government, the Japanese government. But yeah, Or well, he wasn't 15, he was actually 13. And this is where, well, the Japanese government was a little iffy in actually letting Issei do something like this. But Issei managed to create a well, mostly a 1.0 Sentinel. Yes, let me show you what it is. This is what mostly a Sentinel was for 1.0. Now, this is not the latest model version that Issei has right now, but this was mostly the version that he created when he was 13. This thing was basically broken in so many ways, but mostly it was kind of broken because not many of them managed to survive, but he managed to create one perfect one that he managed to create to call it the remaining, well, mostly, well, he called it the one to bring protection and chaos to supernatural, but protection towards mostly everything else, mostly all humans. But this is where, well, the Sentinel that was shown and displayed towards most of the Japanese government, the Japanese government was very interested in Issei's creation. And of course, it was actually allowed to protect humanity and other stuff. But this is where, well, the drone itself managed to, what's it called, be able to, well, mostly the robot itself managed to be able to just take so much firepower from tanks, airplanes, and even machine guns, but also be able to take on like huge creatures like lions, like pandas, and other things. And he managed to survive and actually repair itself after a while. This is where, well, most of the Japanese government decided to make a program for Issei to make him to be the director. But he knows that Issei is still young, and so decides to let Issei go to school. Now, of course, Issei never liked the idea of going back to school. He thought with mostly becoming a director, he wouldn't need to go to school, but mostly the Japanese government wanted him to go to school to still learn about stuff and other things. Maybe give him more ideas. Which mostly, Issei, in his opinion, it was actually a good idea to go back to school because he watched more anime and other stuff, had more time to think and create more stuff and imagine. But yeah, imagination is one of the key points for being a robotic engineer, because if you have unlimited imagination, you can create anything. You just need the basic, mostly composement of mostly the creation. This is where, well, just to create it. But other than that, this is where, well, he kind of went through when he was 13. He was still in the program when he was 13, 14, 15. And when he was about to get into high school, he decided to kind of leave it and gave someone else to be mostly the vice director, who is now the current director when Issei was gone for 2 years because he was going to high school. And he didn't know if he would have time because high school was going to be more of a pain and annoyment to hide a lot of things. But yeah. But he gave his mostly director position towards his most trusted and mostly kind of, you can say, his best friend, mostly named Secret. But yeah, Secret was basically a guy with greenish hair and goldenish kind of yellow eyes. He was almost similar to that of a lizard. This is where, well, his eyes remind Issei way too much of a lizard. But this is where Secret kind of just said that he will actually protect Issei's spot and won't let anyone, and he means anyone, dare take his spot. Not even letting the other kind of, well, directors of different companies like, well, that are working under the Japanese government. Like the science project of mostly cloning, which Issei always just thought that clone was just not needed. It was literally boring to him. He never really thought of cloning anything. So of course there's actually a project of that. There's also other projects that are either based for like making scientists, mostly scientists kind of creating like massive weapons of destruction. Not like robots like Issei is, but like different weapons like bombs, guns, or whatever. You get the point. Which Issei actually has a good relationship with those guys in that department, because he wants to actually test out their newest weapons with his own robots. He wants to always kind of test it out with those. This is where, well, the science department is always okay. Mostly the science, mostly the weapons of mass destruction science department. But yeah, they're okay with it because they also want to see if it's actually compatible with some of the robots that Issei creates. But yeah, this is where, well, with that happening, well, see, Issei did start when he was actually 12. He started on the Mechagodzilla project, But this is where, well, it went to 13, 14, 15, 16. When he was 16 and still able to kind of get to his, like, mostly Mecha Godzilla, he still kept grading. But this is where Secret was actually the one to actually keep continuing on to follow the basic instructions that mostly Issei left for the other kind of like robotic engineers to kind of follow. So yeah, and not to screw it up, because this would be actually the most strongest and powerful weapon they ever created, and will actually turn the tides for any war they actually are in. Because there are alliance with the United States, yes, that's the thing, but they don't know if another war might happen just like World War II. So of course, mostly the Japanese government was basically relying on one kid, and that being Issei Hiro, for this Mecha Godzilla to be an actual thing. Because if this thing actually can move, shoot, and destroy, this can literally turn World War III on their side if it ever starts. But yeah, that's why the Japanese government kept this a secret from the whole freaking world, from even its own people. Even those who are somewhat in the military do not even know about Issei's status or any of that, which Issei does not want to be kind of thrown to the public to be recognized for all his hard work and other things, because, well, he doesn't believe that he needs all that kind of like popularity. But yeah, but that's what, well, Issei does not really care about any of that. But this is where, well, we get out of mostly Issei's room to kind of, well, getting out of his doors. This is where, well, Issei said, so boring now. Maybe I should go get something to eat. Yeah, I've been in my room for a while, and I do have a light headache. This is where, well, mostly Issei starts walking towards mostly the cafeteria of, well, mostly the base, but not the point. This is where, well, he keeps walking until he kind of almost bumps into someone else. Someone that isn't as tall as him, but almost the same height as him. This is where, well, it's a girl kind of, well, I did mention that this girl had kind of bluish and pinkish hair last time, but I'm actually going to change it to actually having purple hair. This is where, well, she had kind of longish, kind of purplish hair, or not longish, it was kind of medium purple hair that only reaches up towards her neck, but yeah. And of course, this is where, well, she had kind of purplish, yeah, hair. This is where, well, she had like these purplish eyes, like mostly dark purplish eyes. This is where, well, she had this like mostly blackish hat somewhere on top of her head, but not the point. This is where, well, she kind of had mostly black long socks somewhat, because you can see, because she was kind of wearing, well, not shorts, it was kind of a skirt. But this is where, well, she kind of wear like this black jacket that had a skull symbol, but instead of having the skull in the middle, it was actually like a TB or whatever, like a kind of just TB or something. And this is where, well, she looked to have like some kind of emo phase or something. This is where, well, mostly Issei said, what's it called? This is where Issei had a headache for a second. This is where Issei says, Uzi, how are you doing at this fine day, I guess? This is where, well, the girl right now narrows her eyes and looks at Issei with narrow eyes and says, director. She said it in such a sarcastic tone, and this is where Issei says, did I do something to you? This is where, well, we'll see Uzi says, no, you didn't. I'm just wondering about something. What's that? When are you going to, oh no, destroy V or kill her, or just kind of throw her out? This is where, well, mostly someone says, I heard that, Uzi. This is where, well, right now appearing mostly V, the murder drone V. This is where, well, Uzi says, I don't care if you heard it. I want you gone from this fucking facility. This is where, well, V says, too bad. I've been a part of mostly, what's it called, Issei's family for a while. You can't get rid of me, because I'm actually a part of his, like, grandma's creation. This is where, well, Uzi says, I don't care. I'd rather see you gone. If I had the chance, I would have dismantled you myself. This is where, well, mostly both V and Uzi are getting angry at each other, and this is where Issei's getting a headache. Until mostly both Uzi and V right now summons out something. Mostly V summons out these like metallic wings behind her, and right now her hands became metallic claws. This is where, well, she then says, fine, Uzi, then I'll kill you myself. This is where, well, on her screen of her kind of erotic face right now appears an X. And this is where, well, she kind of had a psychotic brain right now. And this is where her tail was swinging behind her. Right now, Uzi near her eyes, and this is where she grit her teeth in this where, well, right now behind Uzi's back, which it was her kind of like scientist coat because she did have scientist coat, but this where, well, right now spreads out kind of two kind of like bat-like wings, but they're made, well, metallic and purple, but the purple on it was kind of ripping other things, but it was like, the purple was like metallic sheets, but it was kind of like rip a little bit, but not the point. This is where, well, she also summoned out a tail because she's actually somewhat of a cyborg, mostly Uzi. This is where, well, or Uzi. This is where, well, both of them are just glaring at each other, ready to kill each other. And this is where, well, Uzi, one of her eyes right now became into a symbol. And this is where, well, Uzi says, "Wow, I just kill you now." This is where, well, V says, "Bring it, bitch." This is where, well, both of them were ready to just kill each other until Issei says, "Both of you stop already." This is where Issei gets annoyed and his voice right now became right now deeper and much more angry and much more kind of, well, mostly not relaxed, but mostly directed. This is where he says, "Both of you calm down right the fuck now. I'm not trying to deal with both of your childish antics." But this is where, well, both Uzi and even V point at each other and says, "She did it." This is where, well, he says, "I don't care who did it. Right now, I'm wondering one fucking thing." This is where, well, mostly both of them says, "Yeah, and what's that?" This is where both of them said. He says, "Can't you two get the fuck along with each other?" This is where, well, both of them shook their hands and say, "No, I'm never getting along with that bitch." This is where both of them said. Issei sighs with such an annoyed tone and says, "Fine, you two don't need to get along, but I'm wondering one fucking thing." "Yes? Fucking move." This is where, well, both of them were just surprised with Issei's tone. Issei said, "I'm hungry as hell, get the hell out of my way. I'm not trying to deal with both of your bullshits." This is where, well, Issei said, "Other than that, I also do want to know on status report. Uzi, what about mostly Sin? How is she doing?" This is where Uzi says, "Sin? She's doing fine. Why?" "Good. Because I'm going to have to actually spend what's it called father and daughter time with her." This is where, well, Uzi says, yeah. This is where, well, she had a tint of purple on her face, but this is where, well, right now V kind of just also had mostly her screen face. Show mostly these like lines of purple, mostly not purple, mostly yellowish kind of tint of blush, but this is where, well, both of them just let Issei walk past them. This is where, well, they were still glaring at each other, but this is where, well, they didn't really care about right now their battle. They kind of just walked separately and went their separate way. Issei, on the other hand, was kind of getting towards mostly the lunchroom. He went to go eat down, mostly he gets like a sandwich or other things, sat down and started eating. This is where, well, he started going on his phone and kind of watching some YouTube videos or something. This is where, well, someone in the back kind of patted him in the back saying, "So, how you doing there, Director Sama?" This is where, well, Issei looks up and says, "Secret. What happened when I was gone for 2 years, somewhat?" This is where, well, mostly Secret said there was a lot of things. Some people quit just because you weren't here for a while. Some people stayed. Some people are new. They believe that I'm actually the current director, but they will actually find out the cold hard reality later. This is where, well, we'll see. Issei nodded. "I see. That's what happened. There was no bumpy rides when I was gone for 2 years." "No, there hasn't been." "So what are you gonna do since you have came back after mostly a while? Are you going to take back the director's spot? I mean, it's been 2 months. You can easily take it back." Right now, Issei looks up and sighs and just says, "Well, I could, but I don't want to. The only reason why I don't want to is because, well, I see no point in doing it and becoming the, well, mostly the, well, how should I say, the director. I mean, I could definitely report and give this and other things towards those annoying governments, but this work, well, I'm not truly entirely want to become the director of this place. I have way too many things I need to think about, but I also want to spend some mostly father and daughter time with my mostly daughter." Secret nodded and says, "Ah, right. I forgot about the android. Right, you call her Sin. We'll see, spell Cyn instead of an actual Sin." This is where mostly Issei scoffs and says, "Hey, I just want it to be different, but that's not the point. I want to know how Sin is acting. Is she acting like a normal human or is she acting like an actual robotic kind of being? I actually want to see if I actually managed to create the thing that my grandmother has always been longing for, and that is basically creating a sentient kind of being. A being that's able to kind of, well, be created out of machine parts, but look more like a human and kind of act like a human, and at the same time be able to, well, grow up like a human. How tall has, well, mostly Sin actually been from the last time? With this word, well, secret said. So she was about mostly 4'8" last time you saw her. Now she's actually 4'11". I see. So she's able to grow up. Yes. She can eat proper food like a normal human. She can also be able to eat oil and other stuff like a machine. But it tastes kind of bitter for her, but not much. Does it work well? She's able to talk like a normal human and not be too weirded out. But she has been really sad, like a normal human, because you haven't actually spent any kind of like relationship with her. Mostly you as a father and her as a daughter. That's seriously not a thing. Well, then I would be telling you that you're going to stay as a director for a little bit more time. Secret said, oh, damn it, I thought I would get to have most of you taking that spot back and me going to be lazy. Hey, you lazy bastard. You had a long ass time to do whatever the fuck you had when you were the director. You realized you didn't need to report to the government every single time. That's where, well, Secret says, well, you're lucky that I didn't. Then what the hell did he do? Be lazy? Okay, you lazy bastard. How about you fucking shut the hell up and stop complaining about almost every fucking little detail? Secret says, yeah. Don't worry. I will take care of your spot very fine. Don't burn it. This is where, well, Secret says, how the fuck am I gonna burn a title? Hey, somehow you're gonna do it. And I know you're gonna somehow do it, so I'm not stupid. This is where, well, Secret says, fuck you. He says, but other than that, I'll be going then. I'm gonna go to Wilson's room then. This is where, well, right now, Secret says, whatever, I'm going. This is where, well, Issei walks away and goes towards mostly, well, Sin's room. This is where, well, he knocks at the door, and the door right now opens, and someone says, come in. This is where, well, mostly someone was kind of depressed and sad and with the tone of voice. This is where, well, right now, the brownish hair man kind of walks in, which mostly is a boy, but not the point. He's considered to be already a man instead of being 17, but yeah, a teenager, whatever. This is where, well, the person walks in and says, Sin, are you okay? This is where, well, Sin looks up and says, yeah. This is where her eyes widen and she runs up to Issei and hugs him in an instant, saying, Father, you're back. This is where, well, she has this smile, this like brightful kind of smile, and she's happy. This is where, well, she's kind of standing up, and of course she's a little crook, but not much. This is where, well, she was kind of a little bit, well, not deformed, but this is where, well, mostly she says, you're doing fine, aren't you, Sin? This is where Sin nods and says, I'm doing perfectly fine. I'm doing amazing. You're back. This is where, well, Sin kind of grins at him right now, showing off her teeth, which are actually teeth and not right now machinery kind of white or any of that. This is where, well, mostly says, good to know. How was, well, mostly Secret or Uzi treating you? This is where, well, right now, Sin says, they were treating me good. Mostly Secret has been lazy, like a lazy uncle most of the time, while mostly Uzi has been always scolding him and telling him that he should do something instead of being lazy. He's saying, I see. Okay, good to know. Well, let's see. You want to spend some, what's it called, time with your good old pops? This is where Issei kind of puts his mostly hand to his chest, and this is where, well, not Uzi, mostly Sin kind of says, yes. This is where Issei grins and says, good, then let's go. This is where, well, right now, Sin kind of gets out of her room and kind of follows mostly Issei. This is where, well, mostly both of them are basically having father and daughter time. You see here, even though Sin is not actually Issei's biological kind of kid, he was the one to create her, to kind of being from mostly a child, like a little child, to growing up to that mostly of a normal kind of kid size. Right now, Sin should be at the round of the age of 7 years old, but yeah. But this is where, well, Issei doesn't care if mostly it's not actually his truly child, because, well, he's not really entirely interested in the opposite gender or even the same gender. So of course he really does not have the feeling of emotion of love at first sight or any of that. He never felt it, never. Really, never at all. Every person he looks at, he never felt it. That's why he acted like a pervert. He tried to feel any emotions to any girl, but it was truly never there. He was always dull. So of course, he never thought that it would be a good idea for him to mostly reproduce. So of course, instead of reproducing, he just decided to mostly reproduce by making a machine, a robotic machine, mostly an android, to be able to grow and eat like a normal human. That's what mostly mostly grandmother wanted to create. That's why she created the mostly murder drones. Now she really wasn't trying to create a murder drones, but they were just supposedly to be mostly just normal drones, but she created murder drones. And these murder drones, they are kind of filled with weapons and other things, but she only created them to kind of have like these kind of weapons, where just because she wanted mostly her grandson to be protected and fine in good hands. But yeah. Now, of course, mostly, yes, Issei's grandmother, being Teresa, did have more faith in her own creation of drones than in anyone else. She never believed in her husband. She never believed in her son. She never believed in her daughter-in-law to be able to protect Issei at all or teach him anything useful. So, of course, she actually managed to just create these drones for Issei's protection. But yeah, when she's gone, she wanted Issei to be protected. But yeah, but not the point. Now, of course, we go into mostly a time skip about a couple of days later. This is where, Issei, right now we go into a POV of Issei Hiro, also known as Issei Stark. Right now, Issei Stark has talked to the world government, mostly the Japanese government, to talk to him about if he needs to still go to school. He got in multiple information on how Mechagodzilla would do against the supernatural, and also probably do against anyone else, any other forces. This is where he showed the footage taped towards the Japanese government, the generals, and other things. He explains that he doesn't need school no more because mostly school is a waste of time. He should be able to create more of Mechagodzilla in a couple of mostly months or years instead of taking a couple of more years. He wants to create another one. This is where, this other one should be enough power to just wipe out mostly like even America or Russia from existence. While the Japanese government was thinking about maybe letting him kind of be from mostly, instead of staying in school, to give him a slip of pass to just already pass and already get the fucking diploma or whatever shit. Of course, instead of going to mostly college or university, he should already get a document or mostly a diploma of what he's really specialized at, and that's little robotic engineers. But this is where he then thinks about it and says, you know what, I have an idea for you, Issei. This is where, mostly Issei nodded and says, so what would that be? You would be taking mostly, you'll be having a pass, you'll be having your GED, your diploma from high school, and also a diploma from mostly the University for Robotics Engineer. You do not need to take them, you will just have them as proof that you already took them. You would just need to be taking a test right now and to see if you're a genius for it. Issei nodded. He took the test. It was pretty easy for him. Literally, robotics engineer was basically all that he knew, but he also knew other core, like, very special things that he needed to learn about living normally. But yeah. So of course, he already has the diploma and other things. So of course, Issei, he just needs to get to Kuwa Academy to just say that he's already gone. So just to get him off of the system, so mostly he wouldn't be tackled down by the FBI or something to kind of get him to school when he already has the diploma and other stuff. But yeah, this is where, mostly that's where he's going. This is where, Issei is going with, mostly he's wearing a fancy ass kind of like tuxedo, a black tuxedo with mostly, it's a black tuxedo where it kind of looks in the video, not video, the picture. This is where, the picture with a black kind of bow tie and white shirt, you get the point. This is where, his brown messy hair is still kind of messy, but not the point. Well, it's not messy, it's kind of slicked back, but not the point. Mostly it still looks the same, but just a little bit bigger. This is where, his brownish eyes are being covered by some glasses that he has on his face. This is where, he's not wearing, let me say that again. Yeah, he's wearing the tuxedo and other things. And next to him is basically a girl with a dress. A kind of whitish silverish dress. But this is where, well, she seems to be basically beside Issei and holding onto his hand. This is where, well, is none other than his daughter. This is where, well, Sin is next to him. This is where, well, Sin has silverish hair, like I mentioned. She also does have kind of yellowish eyes. Golden eyes, similar to that of mostly a murder drone, but she's a little bit different. But yeah. This is where, well, right now Sin is kind of walking around looking at everything and seeing how beautiful everything is. Now, of course, her father did explain that he wants to show the world to her, which mostly he will be doing after, well, mostly getting out of school and other things. And yeah, but before going to school, he actually wanted to show his parents that he actually did have a kid. It's not truly his, but you know, it's made with some of his DNA, but not much. This is where, well, Issei went to the house, knocked at the house of most of the Kyoto residents. Of course, it was bigger than he remembered it. He then realized the devils might have done something to it. But he doesn't care, it's been almost 3 months. This is where the door opens and what reveals to be an old lady in her kind of like late kind of 30s. And an old man also in his late 30s, but not the point. This is where, well, they seem to be Issei's parents. One has kind of darkish brown hair and the other one has kind of lightish brown hair. This is where right now the lightish brown hair person says, "Who are you?" This is where, well, she kind of narrowed her eyes. This is where, well, the father is just like narrowing his eyes. The person looks familiar. Issei says, I'm so sad that you two forgot about me. Well, you can call me Issei Hyoto, also known as Issei Stark, but that's not the point here or there. This is where, well, right now, Mika and Goro wind their eyes and say, "Issei, you're back!" This is where, well, most Issei says, "Yes, I'm back. I'm also here to introduce you to my daughter here." This is where Issei points, and mostly just presents his daughter behind him. And this is where, well, his daughter's a little scared and nervous with mostly both of, well, the Hyotos until they wind their eyes and say, You have a daughter?" This is where Goto says, "Who the hell did you knock up? It definitely wasn't Rios, Ozzy, or any of the other girls, was it?" Issei says, No, it wasn't. Actually, she's not entirely my daughter, you can perhaps say. She's actually somewhat of an android. Yes, I created biological life by mostly machinery, just like how grandmother always wanted to do. This is where, well, mostly Goro and right now Mika wind their eyes, hearing that Issei literally created an android who looks perfectly like a normal human, but with silverish hair and kind of having some tints of purple a little bit, but also kind of brown. This is where, well, mostly just highlights but not the point. This is where, well, she says, "Hello there, grandmother and grandfather." This is where, well, mostly Sin kind of said. This is where, well, mostly both of them say, "So if she's not your daughter, she's just basically a creation of a monster." Issei narrows his eyes and says, "What?" This is where, well, mostly both of his parents just got startled of Issei's just screaming out very angrily. "You think she's a monster just because she's not entirely my blood? You people are just starting to piss me off. She is my own daughter, and I will not take any lightly answer from the fact that you calling her a monster. She is not a monster, she's my daughter." Issei puts his hand on top of mostly his daughter's head. This is where, well, Issei narrows his eyes coldly and very dangerously towards mostly both of the Hyotos. Issei says, "Luckily for me, I never did take your last name too well. So luckily for me, you two are actually not my parents. And luckily I changed my name to Stark fully instead of Hyoto. So, you can actually have your own child with Ozzy or whoever the fuck needs to have a child. Other than that, I'll be leaving." "You damn bastards. I thought you two would be happy for the fact that I created something like this. At least it's not my child, but still cute enough to be actually rivaling that of a normal child. But no, I guess that's not needed. Let's go, Sin." Sin says, "Okay, father." This is where mostly Sin walks along with Issei, and Issei starts walking away. Issei was pissed for the fact that his parents thought that Sin was a monster, and that is not the case. Maybe people have different opinions for mostly androids being born and other things, but still that pisses him off. He doesn't discriminate with robots and mostly humans. They can live in harmony if they actually just put their differences aside. But yeah, this is where, well, mostly Issei was grinding his hands, like kind of like putting his fingernails deep into his hand. He was bleeding a little bit until Sin notices and says, "Father, are you okay?" This is where Issei calms down and says, "Yeah, I'm fine. You don't need to worry about that." This is where Issei kind of just smiles at Sin, which Sin kind of smiles at him and says, "Okay, father." This is where, well, mostly Issei kind of just smiles a little bit more and says, "Do not worry about my child. Those people aren't truly your grandparents. No, they're not your grandparents. Those people are just nothing to you, okay? Do not worry about their words and what they call you or any of that. This is where Issei crouches down towards mostly Sin and pokes in the head. This is where Sin right now smiles and says, yes, father. This is where, well, right now Issei kind of smiles and says, let's go then. We still need some things to do. This is where, well, they get to the Kuo Academy, and this is where, well, Issei said, what is happening here? This is where, well, this is where, this is where, well, mostly Issei is just, well, getting to school. This is where he gets to school, and of course, when he's at school now, he gets to, well, the Kuo Academy, and of course, where, well, he did kind of like press some buttons just in case mostly robots need to be in the sky right now. Which he just command what's it called secret to have some robots on top of the sky just in case he might be attacked or anything. But that's not the point here or there. This is where Issei walks in, of course opens a gate, and this is where a lot of people, it was kind of, well, not the morning, it was right now in the middle of lunch and other things. People were wondering who opened the gate, and this is where what they see is Issei Hyodo right now in a tux, a whole ass tux. And next to him is a little girl who seems to be holding his hand. This is where, well, Issei's hand seems to be kind of bandaged, but not the point. Well, not bandaged or repaired instantly thanks to his nanomites. But this is where, nanomachines, but not the point. This is where, he also is next to his daughter and holding her hand. This is where they're walking through mostly Kuo. And of course, where, well, lots of people are whispering saying, who's that girl next to Issei? She looks way too young. Do you think Issei's what's it called, Peter? This is where a lot of people are just making things and rumors and other things, which Issei hears, and right now making Sin kind of wonder what's happening until mostly Issei kind of tells Sin to put both of her hands onto her ears. And this is where Issei was going to say something, but this is where someone actually punched him in the face. Right now, Issei did have glasses, but not the point. This is where, well, Issei got punched in the face, and this is where someone says, no fair! I can't believe you basically managed to get a lolly for you. This is where, well, mostly Issei was kind of getting up. This is where, well, he was kind of like having some blood going down his nose. And this is where his glasses were right now broken. And this is where, well, Issei looks at the two people who attacked him. It was none other than his two old friends, being Murahama Matsuda. Issei is having still blood kind of running down his nose, but he doesn't seem to care. Issei gets up, right now dusting himself off. And this is where Sin got angry. She actually wanted to kill both of the humans that actually dared to attack her father. But, of course, where Issei says, what are you talking about? Why the hell are you telling my daughter's a lolly? This is where, well, making both of, what's it called, both friends just freeze up in an instant. Well, ex-friends. This is where everyone heard that, and they say, what? No way! Hyodo had a fucking daughter? This is where, well, mostly Issei says. And also, that punch was weak as hell. Never attack me again, bastard. Issei right now knees him right in the face so hard, like he did it so fast that he knocks out Murahama instantly. Or not Murahama, Matsuda. This is where, well, Matsuda was knocked out for the count. While everyone was winding their eyes. This is where, well, right now Sin just looks at her father. Right now blood is right now stopped bleeding his face, and this is where Issei says, so annoying. I need glasses to see, you bastards. This is where, well, Issei then sees what's it called, well, Murahama's still glasses being intact. This is where Issei appears right in front of him, grabbing him from the fucking neck, taking his glasses off his face, and then smashing him down to the ground. Issei puts on what's it called, Murahama's glasses. Of course, there's too thick to actually see through, and Issei says, so annoying. I guess I'll be having these broken glasses on my face. Issei crushes the glasses of Murahama without a care in the world. Issei says, other than that, let's go, Sin. Sin says, yes, father. This is where she took off her hands off her ears because Issei told her. And this is where, well, Sin walks along with her father to get to, well, school. But yeah. This is where, well, mostly when they kind of are getting into the school building, everyone was just quiet. They were all quiet. They did not say anything. The only reason why they didn't say anything is how Issei literally kind of called the girl named Sin. And literally, mostly Sin says, yes, father. Which mostly everyone got kind of crazy, wild. And everyone was texting everyone saying that Hyodo basically has a child. And they don't know who the mother is. This is where, well, they're confused because Sin looks to be around 7 years old. But at that time, if mostly Issei had a child, wouldn't he be around 10? People were confused and stunned and just wondering who the hell did he had a freaking child with. But yeah. This is where, well, mostly people were wondering what's with the silver hair and other things. And this is where, well, lots of people are just wondering. They're all going wild. This is where, well, a wildfire literally appears around the entire school. But before anyone can go any further, mostly this is where, well, what's it called? Their devices were actually jammed in an instant. Like something destroyed them in an instant, right now stopping them from actually going online and kind of mentioning this, blah, blah, blah. But this is what, well, mostly we go into, well, the president's office of a school, being that of cool. But yeah, this is where, well, mostly not president's office, but mostly the council room. Issei kind of walks into it, literally not even knocking, just walk in it. And of course, this is where Sin follows along. Sin is right now just beside her father. This is where, well, right now making Sona confused and looking at this person until she winds her eyes and literally none other than Issei Hiro. Issei seems to have an emotional look, but this is where, well, he pulls out this paper out of mostly his coat, mostly his tux, and might not just toss it onto Sona's mostly desk. But this is actually when I'm going to leave it off for mostly part 2 of this what if. Other than that, bye soon, and yeah, I need to be going, but other than that, bye soon, yeah.